Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where it's currently 17 minutes before the node, and that's great because we need to have a quick technical discussion. If you've been watching any of my other episodes that I've released in the past, at this point, 12 hours, but it will also include this Rogue Tech episode, so like the past 12 hours or the next 6 hours, then we've already had this discussion and you can skip ahead about 2 minutes. But you may notice, hopefully you don't, but you may notice that the video quality is slightly different. And that is because I have been working towards, but I'm not quite yet at, getting to recording at 4K 60. That upgrade is something that I'm working on, and almost all of the pieces of the puzzle are now in place. Those pieces of the puzzle are, of course, the 4K monitor to be able to display it to myself and render it at, and the internet upgrade to be able to render that. Those are the pieces that are currently in place. So I'm currently playing this on my 4K 144Hz monitor. However, due to circumstances outside of my control, you'll notice this is still 1080p 60. And that is because I have a GTX 1070 as my graphics card. I need a better graphics card. So I can't record in 4K just yet. I did some tests. I could record in 4K at like 25 FPS? Not acceptable, as far as I'm concerned. So you may notice some slight differences in the recording quality, just due to the upscaling from 1080p to my monitor, and then capturing at that 4K, and then downscaling that back down to 1080. Because of the way that KSP scales, it's weird, and I have to do it that way. I didn't have to do it with any of the others, but that is the situation that I'm at right now. So you might notice some slight video quality issues. It should be largely the same at 1080p, and it should only be noticeable at 4K, or theoretically above, but in reality it shouldn't be too much different at 4K. So hopefully it's okay. I won't know until this video is live on YouTube. I have noticed a few hitching issues. Not necessarily, yeah, like that, I think. There was a little bit of hitching there. So that's something that I'm going to be tweaking over time. But for now, I think that well, I need to track down what that issue is, but I need to get this video recorded. So that's enough of that discussion. Once I manage to get my hands on a graphics card, at that point, I will definitely be in position to, actually, I think KSP is maybe not playing well with G-Sync right now. I think might be what's going on. So I'll look into that, but for now, let's just switch over to the marker and get this underway. But like I said, once I get a graphics card upgrade at MSRP, I'm not paying the scalper price, then I'll be able to upgrade into proper 4K 60. This that we have right now is both a work in progress and temporary at the same time. So just so you know, any video issues that there are right now, I'm working on it. There's a lot of stuff to smooth out. I think I might have to disable G-Sync for KSP. We'll see. However, that's enough of that discussion. Let's go ahead and warp our way towards this node, which we should be burning at, like, actually, literally right now. We should literally be burning this node right now. Excellent. So let's get this node burnt. And we are, of course, putting this into interplanetary orbit, depending on available delta V, somewhere between either Duna and Kerbin or Duna and Dress. We're not going to be putting it in planetary orbit. It will be an interplanetary orbit as a good communication satellite. Ooh, that atmospheric scattering on the light, or on the light that went into the ship. I didn't actually notice that before on a non-HDR monitor. That's exciting. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that what we've got with these hitches, I don't know if they're coming through in the recording. I think it's not playing well with G-Sync. I'll have to check the recording after this. I didn't notice it in my test recordings. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not coming through in the recording. I can deal with it, the screen being a hitchy, blurry mess, but I would prefer that you guys not have to. It should be okay for you guys, in theory, based on my test record. So yeah, like I said, that's quite enough of that. Let's take this out to interplanetary space, shall we? So we're just going to continue getting this slight radial tweaked burn. And I do want to check our current location. This is good enough. Right here. Let's check our periapsis. I want to make sure that we're not going to be running into the moon. Nah, this is fine. Do it. Okay, so we're going to be slingshotting around the moon, and we're going to be just heading right on out over this way. So that is fantastic. Let's just go ahead and... we can't actually warp that far. But what we can do is we can warp here. Yeah, I wasn't having any of these issues in Imperator or Crusader Kings. I'm pretty sure this is a G-Sync issue, which means that I'm hoping it doesn't come through on the recording. I hope you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing. If it is indeed a G-Sync issue, then that would indeed be the case. I'm not seeing the recording dropping frames, so hopefully, fingers crossed. It seems to be when I interact with the UI elements. I don't actually think that this would be surprising that KSP would have G-Sync issues. So yeah, let's just make our way out into interplanetary space, shall we? Let's see here. Our orbit is going to be right about here when we get out. Yeah? Yeah. So we'll go ahead and warp there. Goodbye, Kerbin. Goodbye, Moon. How did I play at 1080p? Oh, it looks so bad upscaled to 4K. It looks so bad. Of course, I've got a 1070, so I can't even use something like DLSS. Sad. At any rate, that's not particularly relevant. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves a temperature scan, and we'll transmit that. That's not worth anything. Let's not do that. Okay. No point whatsoever. So, we need to get this thing out in between, like, Duna and Dress is ideal, and I'm pretty sure we've got more than enough DV to make that happen. I don't actually care when we do this burn, so I'm going to do it kind of as soon as possible. This is in, like, 22 days. We can move it a little sooner. And we'll position this to be roughly halfway between Duna and Dress, something like this. Then we'll position it about like that. That's in 14 days. Let's go ahead and move it a little bit closer. That's in like 4 hours. Should be fine. That looks roughly halfway to me. This is going to be a pure prograde burn, so we will go ahead and warp to that next maneuver. Technically, we don't have to, but, I mean, we're mostly doing this to kill time while we wait for some of our science to come in, right? So these time warps are completely okay, and is, in fact, the point of this particular mission. So we can see here that this is going to be 1,700 meters per second to get us out to here. What is it going to be to quasi-circularize this? We probably would want to do that about here. And then have it be, no, not there at all. That's 1,100 meters per second there. I want to move this. Thank you. About there-ish. Maybe push it out a little bit further. Dress is in an elliptical orbit, which makes that a little bit awkward. But something along the lines of that would be 1,300 meters per second. Yeah, that'll work fine. So we'll go ahead and delete one of these nodes. Actually, it is this one. And we're going to want to burn this. Right about now is fine. I don't actually care about when. Okay, so we will burn off what fuel we've got left in this tank. And that is absolutely excellent. As soon as this fuel is burnt off, then we will stage this. Still see Kerbin in the background there, moving slowly away. Actually, not all that slowly, in all honesty. But this is going to be a pretty lengthy burn. There's no doubt about that. I'm actually a little late on it, but I don't really care when this burn is. Doesn't actually matter. So we're going to go ahead and burn out the rest of this stage. We've got about 11 seconds on that, and that is absolutely fine. 3 seconds. And off we go. We are, of course, going to have to untrack that space junk if we want to make it go away. I know that's not how it works in reality, but that is how it works in Kerbal Space Program. It essentially destroys the craft. And that's wonderful. Node is in T-minus 12 seconds, not like we care. Got another 800 meters per second to go in this burn, and yeah, we're going to be completely fine to make it out to Duna Dress. In fact, that encounter there, was that a Kerbin encounter? I think that was a Kerbin encounter. Pass on that one. I don't suppose we're going to be seeing a Duna encounter here. Not like we actually want to go to Duna with this. I just want to put something out here so it is a relatively stable point that we can communicate with. We should have plenty of signal strength to get out here. It's when you're, you know, around Elu that things are going to get spicy. That was indeed a Duna encounter there. Okay. I mean, sure, I don't care, but that's exciting. We will be going to Duna, there's no doubt about that. But I want to get this comm satellite out there and mostly get like 150 more science. That's what we're mostly looking to do so that we can finish up our satellite. Or rather, our station, not our satellite. This is a satellite, but it's going to be a station. The mining station over the sun is going to be interesting. I think that's not actually going to be a mining station, but rather a, like, power harvesting station. I don't know how we would beam the power out of there, but some kind of future Stellaris technology, I guess. So it would be like a solar panel station. Okay, we're going to be about in position here in a moment here. And all that good. That'll do. At this apoapsis, do we want to push it out here? This is a nice circular orbit. I think this is okay. We're not really going to want to match the elliptical orbit that Dress has got going on here, so I think overall this is fine. And this is 1300 meters per second, which is about half of what we've got in this tank. So yeah, I think this is great. That is a year in the future. So I'm not going to actually warp this entire distance. I'm going to warp about 40 days for right now. And then we're going to hop back to Kerbin. There we go. And we'll head back to the Space Center. And let's see if we can get any science from our station. We should be able to. Even if we're basically done with science from the Mooner or Minmus surface. Let's hop over here and beam back what we've got. We need to go to the Brazil Space Station core, of course. There we go. Wonderful. And now that we are here, we will go ahead and check to see... Oh, we've got 250 science here. Fantastic. Now, we're not currently in the light, which means that our electric charge is draining pretty quick. And if we were to transmit this, it would drain super quick. But we're going to try it. Yeah. This is going to be interesting. We can upload partial, right? We do allow partial. Good. We're 38% done with the upload, but we are chunking through our power. Where are we in the orbit? We're basically in the dark side here. I probably should have waited until we were basically at apoapsis. That's 17 minutes in the future. We're gonna run out of electric charge, but that's fine. And we are out of electric charge. And we're going to go ahead and warp over here. And that will give us power in a moment. There we go. 250 science added. We've got power. Fantastic. We'll head on back to the Space Center. That was all the science that we need. And we are going to begin work on our mining module. So let's go into the research and development. We, of course, need to get ourselves... Let's see, what is it? Advanced Science Tech? Yes, that also gives us the negative gravioli detector and the ionographer. So that actually gives us a good reason to go back to the surfaces as another bit of a time sink while we're waiting for some of these things. So yeah, I think we will go ahead and grab these. Absolutely. And we still have 150 science, but we don't have enough to actually get anything. We'll go ahead and leave that facility and hop into the VAB. And inside of this, we will need to do our production module, is what I'm going to call it. So we will then put in, as our base part, we will put in, of course, a Probodobodyne Octo 2. That is our best unmanned tech for piloting. That'll be our core part, and then we're going to have something along the lines of, let's see, we're going to need some fuel on this thing. We're going to need an ore tank. We're going to need a fair number of things. I also want to bring up, as a, like, temporary thing, I want to bring up the negative gravioli detector. This guy right here. I'm actually going to put in a battery here. Z200, I think. And then we'll put the negative gravioli detector just on the side, like that. This will be in a fairing. And then we'll put in, at this point, I think the holding tanks, which is what, in payload? I can never remember where those are. Holding. Small holding tank. There we go. So that'll hold 300 ore. Now, this will not necessarily be a storage module. This is just for conversion. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put in a convertitron. That's a big old convertitron. I'm going to go with a 125. And these generate quite a lot of heat, so we are going to need radiators on this. And let's see here. This is this is active cooling. Right. I actually do want passive cooling on this. Except that that doesn't seem to exist. Sure. These thermal control systems are kind of hilariously large. Oh, actually, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. I think that'll do. Oh, we'll run a test on this, and we'll just fill this up with ore, and then we will give this a quick fuel tank here, and we'll have the fuel tank be empty for right now, temporarily, because we need to test this. And then we will also put in... This is mostly going to run off of station power, but we will put in some very, very small solar panels up here. Although I do want these to be snapped. And I want technically these to be snapped as well. So we'll do that. Maybe a little higher on those. Not snapping that. Like that, I think. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so we will go ahead and retract that. And at this point, let's go ahead and run a quick test of this. So all we're going to do here is test to see that our thermal solution will work. Now, I'm not at all convinced that this is going to be sufficient in terms of our... Oh, it's actually daytime. I'm kind of shocked. I'm not at all convinced that this is going to be sufficient in terms of our power. For one thing, this is only bicoupled. We'll go ahead and grab a gravity scan. There we go. I'm noticing that suddenly the game has decided it's in 4K. I don't know why. And I can't change it at this screen. So I apologize. The UI is going to be a little bit wacky. Oh, we can actually change the UI scale here. I don't know why it suddenly decided that it was going to render in 4K, but it is, and the frame rate's not going to be great. Luckily, we're not going anywhere. So we're going to go ahead and extend these radiators. Like so. You can see the frame rate just chugging. This is why I was running it in 1080. I have no idea why it suddenly decided that it's 4K now. But okay. I'm still recording this in 1080 though. But it's rendering in 4K for some reason. Okay, so let's see if we are a little bit negative on our electric charge. That's fine. And now let's go ahead and run our ISRU for liquid fuel and oxidizer. Okay, so core temp is slightly hot. Okay, so this pretty much gives us the information that we needed. Of course, we already knew that this was going to be insufficient electric charge. Let's go ahead and revert that back to vehicle assembly. And I wonder if this is still going to be in 4K. Yep, this is still in 4K. Okay. I don't know why it changed. I'm very confused. Very confused. KER is too. Look at this. Okay, that's exciting. Well, we're not going to be doing a launch this episode, so in this situation, it's probably okay to be rendering in 4K. I don't think that I care that much, and yeah, we'll just do that. And I want these guys to be in quad coupling, like so. And then we'll run this. Don't know why it decided to switch resolutions on me. I didn't do anything. KSP is going to be doing this. This is going to be a problem until I get a graphics card. We'll grab our gravity scan. And at this point, let's go ahead and extend these radiators on out. I will admit, it does seem to be working better with G-Sync in 4K. So there is that. We'll extend the solar panel, but the frame rate is not great. We'll extend that solar panel, and we are going to go ahead and begin work on our ISRU. Okay, we're still going up a bit in the core temp. Let's see where that ends up at. Yeah, our thermal efficiency is coming down here. These thermal control systems appear to be largely insufficient. I'm going to physics warp here. It's going to start shaking. We don't care if it blows up. We're going to revert it any way we slice it. I just want to see where this cap's at. It looks like we're going to run out of power before it caps. Maybe. Actually, our power is doing surprisingly well. Yeah, it's clear that we need a better cooling solution. So we'll go ahead and revert that back to vehicle assembly. That's okay. We will go ahead and drop these, and we are going to then put on maybe something along the lines of medium thermal control systems. This is kind of hilariously large. Hopefully that'll be good enough. If that's not good enough, I don't know what to say. Actually, I'm going to try this on bicoupling. I would really prefer it to be bicoupled for the purpose of space. That would be ideal. Oh, and maybe we should send this up into orbit. Like, we should cheat this up into orbit. Just to test how it is simulated in a vacuum. That's something we could do as well, because I think that has an effect. So let's go ahead and quick save here in case I mess anything up. We'll quick save there. And we're going to then actually open the cheat menu here, and we can, let's see, I believe we go in here, set orbit around Kerbal. This is fine. We'll just set it perfectly like that. Okay, so we're now in orbit, and let's see how this works in vacuum. So at this point, we will go ahead and extend our solar panels, like so, and we will start our ISRU, or liquid fuel plus oxidizer. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. We'll revert that back, and we'll try it with quad. Or, actually, I want to look at these. Let's see. Rated for dynamic pressure. Yep, cools up to 4x part temp. Transfer rate of 10%, max cooling of 19,494 kilowatts. So yeah, that's a lot of cooling compared to a lot of these. We could go with a large thermal control solution and try to mount it like so. Just bicoupled. And then move our... Nope. Move our photovoltaic panels something like this. That is something that we could do. We'll go ahead and try that in orbit. Once again, this is a simulation, so we'll just place it in orbit and then revert it back. We're just testing our heat solution right now, is literally all we're doing. So as soon as this loads up, my poor 1070 trying to render this at 4K. I don't know why it decided to do this, but I mean, I can't change it without going to the main menu, so I guess we're stuck like this. This episode is almost over anyway, so we'll extend all of this. Surely this is sufficient. Right? That extended, we'll let it rotate to the direction that it needs to be at. Excellent. And we will go ahead and start our ISRU up. Okay. I mean, let's go ahead and warp this and see what that caps out at. Like, we're going to go into the darkness here quite soon. And, I mean, we're not going to have enough power forever, right? We're actually completely out of power right now. Why is our temperature still going up when we're out of power? Okay, we're missing electric charge. So I feel like a big part of this right now is that we are currently struggling with power delivery to the thermal control system. I feel like that's what's going on here. Yeah, cooling, not enough electric charge. So let's revert that back to vehicle assembly and overkill this. Just to test it out. Because I feel like this should be more than capable of cooling this. In fact, I feel like this is wildly overkill. And we should probably be on, like, thermal control system mediums and have it be mounted like this. And let's see what it looks like with a pair of Gigantors here for power. We don't ultimately need these because we are going to be attached to the space station and getting our power from there. But for testing purposes, I just want to make sure before we send this up that we can verify that our heat generation is under control. And that requires simulation. So we'll go ahead and do that. And as soon as this loads in, we will place ourselves in orbit for the test. We'll go ahead and extend our radiators, as well as our Gigantors. There we go, and that should be more than enough power generation. We'll just go ahead and turn SAS on, and we can't really rotate this. Right, we don't have SAS on this. Sure, we'll go ahead and start up our ISRU. Okay. So that is about what I expected there. Let's go ahead and run this in time warp. As long as we have light here, we have sufficient power. Now, our power is going to drain very rapidly as we're on the dark side here, and now we're missing electric charge, and our core temperature will drop. And then it will come back up once we come back around. There we go. Yeah, this is definitely, I think, insufficient on the cooling front. Okay. We just don't have that part transfer efficiency, I guess. What is the part transfer efficiency on these guys? Transfer part is all 10%. Okay. We'll try cranking it up. This is going to be hilarious overkill here. We're just going to do that. And then I'm going to do quad Gigantors like this. It's dumb, right? But I just want to verify that this is like a sanity check for me. I mean, I'm already going insane about the resolution issue. But this is a sanity check here where I'm just trying to figure out, is this even going to work? I feel like they've made changes here because this didn't seem to generate that much heat previously. Let's just go on up there and run ourselves a quick test here. We'll extend out everything. This is just a hilarious amount of space required for this, and these parts are going to clip into each other. That's all there is to it. A poor graphics card. I'm not trying to render in 4K, I promise. Look at that clipping. I mean, it looks great in 4K. I'm not capturing in 4K, so it probably looks the same to you guys, but it looks great in 4K. There's no doubt about that. But unfortunately, the frame rate doesn't agree. Okay. See how this goes. Okay, I guess they just changed how this works. Our core temp is definitely on its way up, and let's just warp around into the dark side and see how this goes. We're now missing electric charge, and we're cooling down a bit. Look at all that clipping. Okay, so this definitely overkilled it and told me what I needed to know, which is I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board on this. Luckily, it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to hopefully have these resolution issues fixed, and we're also going to have a better cooling solution here, for sure. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time. Why did it switch to 4K? I'm so confused.